Bringing you another video on the Deferred Sales Trust and helping you to escape feeling trapped by capital gains tax and the 1031 exchange. So if you are considering using a Deferred Sales Trust, what are the top 5 questions you should ask yourself? Let's start with number 1. The number 1 question you should ask yourself is, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to do? And sometimes this is a simple answer. Look, I'm trying to separate from a partner. I'm trying to sell and slow down my life and retire. I'm trying to capture value so that I can redeploy the capital somewhere else. It could be a death in the family. It could be a divorce. It could be something that's a lifestyle change, and the asset that you're holding is taking up a lot of time, energy, toilets, trash, liability. It can be a number of things. You know, being a multifamily broker and growing up in the real estate industry, there's a time and a place to sell certain properties and a time and a place to exit certain businesses, and you've got to really qualify and quantify and clarify what is it that you're trying to do. A couple other questions on this first part would be, you know, why am I selling and what's keeping me up at night? Right? What are the things that are stressing me out? What is the motivation to even think about exiting the asset? You know, sometimes people come to us at Capital Gains Tax Solutions and we walk through some of their scenarios, and oftentimes we find that the motivation really isn't there to exit the asset, the business, the property, or they haven't maximized the value of the business at this point, right? Or they thought the value was X, but really it was Y once they went through the process of due diligence and working with M&A advisors that we work with. And they found out that, hey, well, maybe if we improve this a little bit more, we can increase the value and sell it at a higher price at different times. So really clarify what you're trying to accomplish, right? And then leads into like the second major question, which is we would encourage you to ask is, what are my passions for my wealth? Like you might have invested into crypto or real estate or a business or have a primary home, and this wealth has accumulated a great deal over time, and you haven't really asked yourself or clarified what's the passion for your wealth? In other words, once you do exit and maybe use the Deferred Sales Trust, what's that going to mean for you to have more cash flow and more opportunities to give or do the things that you want to do, more hobbies, more time to travel, or more time to help other people? In other words, what's your passion for your wealth? What does that look like? And example of this, we had a client who built or invested in multifamily properties over time, and we helped them sell their multifamily property here in Placerville, California for about $2.5 million. They bought it for about 1.2. Their NOI was about $120,000, and by the time they used the Deferred Sales Trust, it's going to be about 180, 190. So they were able to increase that cash flow, but their passion was spending more time with their family, having less stress with the properties, which is part of their motivation. But also just knowing that they can now harvest and make more wealth with the money to do things that they believe in and give to the causes they believe in. Which leads us to question number 3. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about solving your tax problem? Or another way to put it would be on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious am I about solving my tax problem? In other words, what does it really mean if you were to pay 25 to 50% of tax? So not only do you want to clarify your adjusted basis, you want to clarify what you're selling for, you want to clarify what that capital gains tax and depreciation recapture is going to be. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what does it really mean to you if that money is just paid to the government and is gone forever, right? And sometimes people will call us and we'll go through the Deferred Sales Trust, the benefits, the downfalls, all of the pros and cons, and kind of walk them through a plan. And at the end of the day, we ask them like, well, what does it mean to you if on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're just to pay that tax? Does it mean that much to you? And sometimes it's like, no, it actually doesn't. So it's like, well, if it doesn't mean that much to you, why jump in with the Deferred Sales Trust with a third-party unrelated trustee? That's our role, with another financial advisor, with the legal tax team, with all of the new complications, if you will, right? Now, to us, they're manageable complications, but if that pain is not big enough, right, then why do this? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious am I about just actually solving this or deferring this tax, or maybe eliminating the estate tax with the DST plus? Or am I just, maybe about a 3? So, well, then maybe just pay your tax. But if you're a 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're like, well, I loathe paying the tax, then, consider the Deferred Sales Trust. All right. Question number 4. By the way, we just covered, number 1 was, what are you trying to do? Right. What am I trying to do? Number 2, what are my passions for my wealth? Right. So thinking beyond just the motivation for selling, but more like the passion for what that enables you to do, the causes you can support. Number 3, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious am I about paying the tax? Question number 4 is, what did I first like about what the deferred sales trust can do for me to solve my problem. And this is really taking back a macro view. Sometimes we get into these tax planning scenarios and we do it all at no cost and obligation for our clients and potential clients that are considering using the deferred sales trust. And we start getting into the micro details, which are important. And sometimes these properties or these assets, these sales are over a period of time, 6, 12, 24 months. In fact, working with a business owner, and he had a buyer lined up and everything was ready to go. And then that deal fell apart. And then he had another one and that deal fell apart. Now we're working on the third one. And sometimes we get so involved in all the little details about the deferred sales trust and, what the limitations might be and what it would mean if this, and we can, it's really good to analyze, but sometimes it's also just as important to take another big step back and say, okay, what was the first thing that I really liked about the deferred sales trust? Not only was it, deferring the capital gains tax, but it was that freedom and flexibility to be able to buy another business venture or to buy some real estate or to not have to buy any real estate or business and just be completely passive into the biggest companies in the world, S&P 500 and things like that, right? So realizing that it's the forest and the trees, right? And sometimes if we're getting into our deals so involved that we can forget about the forest and taking that step back about what you first liked about the deferred sales trust and really what was that first instinct of what it could do for you and your family. What would it mean for you to have that extra capital working for you rather than, again, paying it and it's gone forever, okay? So that is question number 4. So we covered what are you trying to do, question number 1. Question number 2, what are my passions for my wealth? On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about solving the tax problem? Question number 4, what did you first like about the deferred sales trust, that what it could do for you to solve your problems? And question number 5 is this: what does it mean to have an extra 25 to 50% of your gain for your family's financial legacy future? So it's not just about year one, but it's the compounding effect, right? Is it Albert Einstein said the 8th wonder of the world is compounding interest? It might have been the 7th or the 8th, whatever it might be, but it's one of those, right? And it's compounding interest. So the ability to take something, and let's use the rule of 72, which states if you can earn 7% compounding over any 10-year period of time, and you let that money just compound, you would double your money. So if you put $1 million into the deferred sales trust and hypothetically it earned 7% compounding net of all cost, at the end of 10 years, if you took no distributions, it would be $2 million, right? So what would that mean for your family if you take that out every 10 years for 10 years for 10 years, and then they can step into your shoes via a living trust? Make sure you set that up properly, and they can continue that compounding interest, right? It's a powerful thing. Now, practically speaking, our clients are taking distributions from the trust, typically starting within the first 2 years, and they're living off the interest, paying that tax as ordinary income tax. If they dip into principal, it's cap gains tax. We have a whole other video series on that, how to make the deferred sales trust an investment, not an expense, and the tax flow planning there. But just thinking that financial family legacy and what it could mean for your family using the laws of compounding interest over a long period of time, right, to create and preserve more wealth with the deferred sales trust. And as well, how can you help others with the capital, right? So some folks come to us and they say, well, Brett, I want to be able to give it away. Well, great. You can use the deferred sales trust, and any distributions you have, you can turn around and pay them off to charity and check with your CPA, but that should just offset the tax on the ordinary income in the given year. And you might have a loss in the future as well in a different asset or property, and then you might take an accelerated payment out of the trust in that given year to offset some gain there. And so there's lots of tax flow planning that we work with you and your CPA, but realize that this can be used for a lot of good for you, for your family, for your family's legacy, and also to be able to give to charity should you want to do that. So those are some of the top 5 questions to ask yourself if you're considering using the deferred sales trust. Hey, if we can help you at all, we want to encourage you to go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and help you get clarity if the deferred sales trust is a good fit for you one way or the other. We have no cost, no obligation consultation. You just fill out the form there. Check out our free ebook and check out our other book that's coming out here on Amazon, Building a Tax-Deferred Exit Strategy. So appreciate you watching this video. Please rate, review, subscribe. Please share this with someone who could help. And we look forward to talking